I walk through the shadow of death left to fear. This is a journey through the halls of hell.
Yes people, what is good? I am BA, and today's movie I want to talk about is The Descent. Now, this is a British horror film that maybe came out about 20 years ago now, I think about 2005, directed by the British director Neil Marshall, and I've always just loved this film, even from a conceptual standpoint. So there will be spoilers in this review. I'm assuming you have watched it before, but if you haven't, be forewarned, I'm gonna spoil some shit. But the plot revolves around a bunch of female friends who all find unlisted mines around the UK and go spelunking, essentially. They have little weekends away and they go and investigate these undiscovered mine shafts. And there's a little bit of a backstory going in. One of them's lost a loved one. There's a little bit of trust issues amongst the group, but everything is seemingly normal to begin with. And when they go into this cave, they slowly discover that it has been investigated before, but clearly not for a long time. They find mining equipment from like a different era, almost like artifacts. And as expected, things start to go badly pretty quickly, but they begin with normal things which could go bad, and then they escalate in severity. So it starts with small things like setting up the trust issues, mining equipment failing, one of them getting injured, things like that. But then about halfway through the film, we get an absolute from dusk till dawn level batshit insane bait and switch, as when they descend further into the mine, they realise they are not alone down there. And there is in fact a species of humanoid kind of creatures that have split off from humanity at some point and been forced to evolve underground with no light, giving them a very Gollum-esque look. This was a look that was used quite often in this time period, both in another British horror movie called Creep, not to be confused with the American horror movie Creep, but there is a British horror movie called Creep also about a woman being trapped in the London Underground for the night, and a monster which again has this slimy, hairless, Gollum-y aesthetic to it, similar to this movie and of course to Gollum in Lord of the Rings. And then you've got the Harry Potter bad guy, which kind of looks similar as well. I don't know why they used that design so often in this specific time period, but the shit was popping in 2005. And again, I like the idea of that because human beings do evolve to suit the environments they're in. So if long ago a sect of human beings just decided to start living underground in caves, and then they found natural water and food resources down there, so they never had to return to the surface, and slowly just became deeper and deeper embedded in this cave system, and to the point where they evolved and reproduced entirely underground, and maybe this is 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 years of that cycle, it completely makes sense to me that there would be a completely alien looking to us type of human being we could encounter from an environment we weren't expecting. And humans changing to suit their environment is a lore that predates this, obviously. I mean, look at mermaids. That is just essentially a human modifying itself to operate within water, for example. And then, of course, now they've discovered these monsters exist, the trust issues come to the surface and all the betrayals begin. People start getting killed by the monsters. People start killing each other. I really love the last third act of this film. I do have one criticism though, and the ending, I understand, okay, so I don't want to explain the ending, but I do want to talk about it, and I will say I understand what he was doing with the ending. But I would have just much preferred a simple, more basic, clean-cut bookend to the story, and I felt like it didn't need to be as jumpy, jarry, bait and switchy, and to many people as confusing as it was. Almost similar to my critique of the film Late Night with the Devil, which I watched last year. I thought that was a really great horror movie, very unique material, structured brilliantly, just decided to have an overly, I don't even want to use the word convoluted, but certainly complex, and like I said, to some people just expecting it to continue telling the story in the way it has thus far, just confusing as an ending. But all that being said, just the uniqueness of this story is what gets me gripped to it straight away. And, encountering humans underground, or human-like species underground, is not new to this. We had the guys worshipping the atomic bomb in the Planet of the Apes series in the original movies. And then we've got stories of the mole men and things like that. But it's just a really unique way in my eyes for them to come across this, because in most stories we've seen on cinema of encountering these things underground, it's always usually humans going there to find something. You know, like Journey to the Centre of the Earth and movies like that. This mixes a pastime perfectly into them stumbling upon it. You know, it completely makes sense. They were looking for uncharted caves, spelunking is their pastime, and then because of that, they encounter this underground species. Is it a perfect movie? No, but I remember feeling at the time I first watched it, it was creative, original, and fresh enough that it just stuck in my mind as one of the best horror movies of that year. So if you've not checked it out, do yourself a favour and watch The Descent. And until next time, if you've liked this video, click like, subscribe, comment down below, come over to the Patreon, sign up and help support me personally. I have been BA. Peace.